It was whispered through the narrow halls of an old monastery that deep in the archives of the church, buried among forgotten scrolls and guarded books, there existed a pattern no one dared speak of publicly. A pattern so subtle yet so persistent that even the most seasoned historians and theologians avoided drawing attention to it. It's called the 40-day rule. Not officially, of course. You won't find it in any catechism, nor in any encyclical. But among a few old priests, monks, and archivists, this strange rule has taken on an air of quiet dread. The idea is simple and terrifying. If a pope falls gravely ill, resigns, or claims to receive a heavenly vision within 40 days after Easter, then it means God has ended his mission on earth. And not just ended it, but cut it short, as if to say, enough. This year, it happened. Again. Pope Francis died quietly, just one day after Easter Sunday. The official report said it was due to health complications, but some priests and insiders believe something deeper was happening. Some say the Pope had been praying more than usual. He had grown quiet. He spoke to only a few people in the days before he died. One priest said the Holy Father seemed to know that his time was near. Another claimed the Pope asked for an old crucifix to be brought to him, one that had not been seen in public since the 1800s. Why did he want that particular cross? Some believe the Pope had a vision that sometime during Holy Week, maybe on Holy Thursday or Good Friday, he saw something in prayer. And after that moment, he knew he would not live much longer. He gave a final blessing. He went silent. And the next day, after Easter, he passed away. All of this happened within the 40-day window after the resurrection of Jesus. It is during this time, the 40 days after Easter, that Jesus walked the earth again. He appeared to his disciples. He gave final instructions. He prepared them for what would come. Many Christians celebrate Easter and then move on with life. But these 40 days are powerful. Heaven is closer. The spiritual world is more active. Some say the veil between this world and the next becomes thinner. And if God wants to remove someone during this time, no one can stop it. The number 40 is very important in the Bible. Noah's flood lasted 40 days. Moses stayed on the mountain for 40 days. The Israelites wandered the desert for 40 years. Jesus fasted for 40 days in the wilderness. The number always shows a time of change, testing, or preparation, but it also points to endings, and sometimes to judgment. If a pope reaches this time, the 40 days after Easter, and becomes sick, receives a vision, or begins to speak strange things, some believe it means God is closing his mission. And when the mission is done, the man cannot return, even if doctors try, even if the world prays. Heaven has decided. This is not just about Pope Francis. The same strange pattern happened before. In 2005, Pope John Paul II died on April 2nd, just after Easter. During his final days, he was very weak and could no longer speak. On the evening of his death, it was the first Saturday after Easter. The same night, Catholics celebrate Divine Mercy. He died within the 40 days. Pope Benedict XVI, who came after John Paul, stepped down in 2013. He was the first pope to resign in 600 years. It shocked the world. But some believe he had received a vision before making this choice. He resigned just before Lent. And during the 40 days after Easter that year, he remained completely silent. He stayed hidden in a small monastery inside the Vatican. He didn't speak to the public again for a long time. Some say his true role as pope ended during that 40-day window. His body stayed alive, but his mission had finished. These three popes, John Paul II, Benedict XV, and now Francis, all reached the 40-day period, and during or just after that time, they either died or disappeared from their roles. This is why Some priests and monks now say the 40-day rule is real. Of course, the Vatican will never confirm it. To speak about such things openly would cause fear. Most people do not want to believe that God takes leaders away without warning. But the Church has always held hidden knowledge. Some things are only spoken about in private, behind closed doors. And this rule is one of them. There are old letters in the Vatican library that are never shown to the public. Some are from popes who died suddenly. Some describe dreams, strange lights, or voices they heard during the 40 days after Easter. One letter from the 1800s tells of a pope who said, "The angels stood in my chamber. I could not speak. I only wept." He died 2 days later, right after Divine Mercy Sunday. Why is this time so powerful? No one knows for sure. But some say it is because these 40 days are filled with divine energy. It is when Jesus walked the earth in his risen body. It is when his wounds were still fresh, but his glory had already begun. If a pope is weak or sick during this time, perhaps he becomes more open to heaven. Perhaps he hears more, sees more, and maybe that's too much for any man to carry. Some priests have started quietly warning each other. If a pope becomes quiet, after Easter, pay attention. If he begins asking for certain relics, or if he suddenly cancels all meetings, pray. If he begins speaking of things that don't make sense, write them down, because it might be happening again. The rule might be at work. Now that Pope Francis is gone, many wonder what comes next. Will the next pope also face this mysterious countdown? Will he survive the 40 days, or will he too be called home? One thing is clear. The Church is changing. The silence after Easter is no longer just peaceful. It now feels heavy, like something is waiting. And every year, as the bells ring on Easter Sunday, a small group of watchers will begin counting. Day 1, Day 2, Day 3. Watching, waiting, listening, because they know what may come. And if the pattern continues, the world may one day have no doubt that the 40-day rule is not just a legend but a warning. And so the question remains, who will wear the white robes next, and will he survive the 40 days? Some say the next pope has already been chosen by heaven. Others say he will be different, more like a prophet than a ruler. But among those who study the pattern, there is quiet fear. Because if the rule appears again, it means something deeper is happening. Not just the end of one pope, but the closing of an age. The Church may not speak of it, but those who listen closely, who watch the calendar and the silence, know that Easter no longer brings only joy. It brings a countdown,